Hey class, so we're just going to go on to lesson 2, which is working with theorems and properties. So in lesson 1, we talked about what all these theorems was. Now we're basically just going to be applying them. So it says use angle properties and theorems that we have from lesson 1 in order to solve these following problems. So what I do for this particular unit is that I always like to pull up my answers or my theorems from lesson 1, and then you can work through it that way. Okay? So just have them open with you so that, or pulled off to the side so that you can work and go through them. So the first one we're going to look at is this question right here. We have a triangle, and inside this triangle, we've been given 2 of our points, right? So if I'm given 2 of my points, I know that this entire, I'm just going to label this should be X. I know that my triangle is going to add up to 180. I know that A plus B plus C is going to give me 180 because that's my internal angles rule, right? So I'm just going to go in and be like, all right, so this is A, this is B, and this is C. So I'm going to have 40 plus 45 plus X is going to give me 180. I'm just going to add everything up. So I know 40 plus 45 is going to give me 95. 40 plus 45 is going to, 85. Sorry. 85 plus X is going to give me 180, right? So if I want to get X by itself, I'm just going to minus 85 on both sides. Minus 85, because if I minus 85 on the first side, it gets rid of it. So 180 minus 85 is going to give me X is equal to 95. So I know that this angle over here is equal to 95 degrees. Cool. So we're going to move on and do B. Again, try doing these by yourself. They're basically the same thing, right? What we have here is now we have this angle here and we have this angle here, but we don't know what this angle here is. So we have 2 unknown angles. But if we go back and we think about it and we use our isosceles angle theorem, I know that in an isosceles angle, if these 2 are the same, these 2 angles are also the same. So they're both 70 degrees. So now I can use my interior angles theorem. So I can say 80 equals X plus 70 plus 70, right? So I can just do 70 plus 70 is going to be 140, is going to equal X plus 140. Let's move that 140 to the other side by subtracting it on both sides. 140 minus 140 is going to be just 0, so I'm going to leave that. So 180 minus 140 is going to give me 320. It's going to give me, 180 minus 140, my bad, is going to give me 40, right? So I know I'm left over with 40 equals X, which means that that corner in the top is equal to 40 degrees. Okay, and I always like to go in and put in what I have found. Moving on, now this is a little bit more complicated. Now I don't have A, I don't have B, and I don't have C. But what I do have is I have that these are all congruent to each other. So this is kind of a new theorem that you don't know about, but if all the sides are the same, all these angles are also the same. So A is going to equal B is equal C. They're all going to be the same. I'm going to write that in. A is going to equal B, which is going to equal C. So I can just say, let B equal A, let C equal A, right? So then A plus B plus C is going to equal 180 because they're all inside angles. And I'm going to make them A. I'm going to replace the B with A. I'm going to replace a C with A. I'm going to be like, that's equal to 180. So 3A, because I'm collecting all the like terms, is going to equal 180, right? And I want to get what A is by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. 180 divided by 3 is going to give me 60. So I know angle A is 60. And if I know angle A is 60, I know B is 60 degrees, and I know C is 60 degrees. And that's how I would find that. Okay. Alrighty then. Moving on. It's a little bit more complicated because now if we look at this, we don't have any of the interior angles. Instead, we only have the exterior angles. which is still something that we can kind of deal with. So I'm going to look at this one at the bottom first. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to look at this in the bottom first. So I have this straight line, right? And then I have this angle going out this way. I know that this angle is 120. If it's a straight line, I can safely assume that this angle is going to be 180 because it's a straight line minus 122 equals this angle. Let's make it A. Equals A, because A plus that angle would give me 180. So let's do 180 minus 122, and that's going to give me 58 equals A. Right, so it took a little bit of thinking, but we know that this is going to be 58 degrees. Now, if I want to find my angle over here, oops, I'm just going to go find my angle over here, and maybe we'll do that not in purple. Let's do that in blue. Also, a straight line. And I want to find this interior angle, and I have this exterior angle. So I know it's going to be 180 minus 136, because it's a straight line, is going to equal, let's call this B. B, so let's do that. 180 minus 136 is going to give me 44 degrees is equal to B. Okay, so this is 44 up here. Now, I want to find this Y value here. Right? If I want to find that Y value there, I don't have either the Y or this interior angle here. This interior angle, let's call this C. If I find C though, I have one of the angles on that straight line. So let's find C. I know that if I have the inside of this angle, the inside of this triangle, everything's going to add up to 180. So it's going to be A plus B plus C is going to give me 180. So I have A, which is 58. I have B, which is 44, plus C, which I don't know yet, is going to be 180. So let's just do that math. 58 plus 44 is going to give me 102, plus C is going to give me 180, right? So if I want to get 180 by itself, I'm just going to subtract 102 from both sides. So I'm going to be left with C. 102 minus 102 is just going to be 0. So 180 minus 102. 180 minus 102 is going to give me 78, right? So I know that this inside angle here is going to give me 78 degrees. So if I know that, now I can find Y, because Y, I'm just going to do this, maybe we'll do it in orange. Y is equal to, or 180, right, because the entire line is equal to C plus Y. I know what C is. It's 78 plus Y. Right, 180 minus 78 equals Y. So let's just do that. 180 minus 78 is 102 is equal to Y. So I'm just going to put this is equal to 102 degrees. Right, and now I'm able to find all of those corners. I know all of them. Okay, moving forward. Here, this one's a little bit easier. We have that exterior angles theorem, right? Which states that if we're looking for B over here, oops, I'm just going to leave that, then it's going to be an addition of this and this, because they're the two angles opposite. So I'm going to say B is equal to 60 plus 45, which is equal to, another way you could have done this is, I'm just going to write or if you wanted to, you could have done 180, so you could have found C over here. 180 equals 60 plus 45 plus C, right, which would have given you 105 plus C, right? I'm sorry, 60 plus 45 is 105 plus C, which would have been that, right? And then you would have moved it to the other side, so 105 equals C. 180 minus 105, this means that it's 75 equals C, right? And so if we knew that this was 75, we could do 180 minus 75, because that's a straight line, is going to give me B, right? And if I did 180 minus 75, I would get 105. Either way, both answers are right. It just depends on how you see the triangle. Okay? They'll both give you the same answer. So, moving onwards, right? Again, we're moving on to this one. We know that this inside is 84, right? I want to find out what x and z are. I know that this is an isosceles triangle, which means that these two angles are going to be the same. So if I want to find x, I can also find d, right? I know that the inside of these angles is going to equal 180. So I know 180 plus 84 plus x plus d is what I'm looking for. I also know that x is going to equal d, so I'm just going to sub that in. I'm going to say, all right, 84 plus 2 times whatever x is, because they're both the same, right? So 180 equals, then I'm just going to carry that. I'm going to take the 84 and subtract it on both sides. 84 minus 84 is just 0, so I'm not even going to bother putting it in. 2x. So I have 180 minus 84, which is going to be about 96, equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. So 96 divided by 2 is going to give me 48, is equal to x. Right, so I know that this angle here is going to be 48. Then I know D is also 48, right? So if I know that D is 48, and I look over here, this is a straight line, right? So I know if D is 48, to find Z, I can use my supplementary angle rule. So I can say 180 minus 48 is going to give me Z. So 180 minus 48 is going to give me 132, which is equal to Z. And that's my answer. Okay. So this is going to be 132 degrees. Alrighty. So a lot of these are triangles because generally we work with a lot of triangles. They're kind of the more basic shape that we work with. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so this is a little bit more complicated if you don't look at this as two different shapes. So remember when we were talking about composite shapes, it's really important for us to see this as like a multiple different shapes, right? So the first shape that I want you to see here is this triangle over here, right? And then the bigger triangle, which I'm going to put in green. So the bigger triangle here. So we can solve it as smaller triangles, right? And it'll just be easier to work that way. So first things first, let's solve the bigger green triangle. So I know that 180 is going to equal, let's say this is y, and this is u, I don't know, z plus y plus u, right? I know I don't know what z is. I'm just going to leave this as 180 over here. I don't know what z is. I know y is 62, and I know that u is 72, right? So I can just isolate for z. 62 plus 72 is going to give me 134. So I have 180 equals z plus 134. Right, I'm going to bring that 34 over to the other side by subtracting it on both sides. So I'm going to do 180 minus 134. Right, so I have 46 is equal to z. Right, so yeah, I use z and z interchangeably. I'm sorry if that confuses you a little bit. So I know that this z or z value is going to be 46. Right, so if I know that that's going to be 46, I can go and start filling in the inner corners of this triangle that I have here. Right, so I can go in and start filling stuff in. So I know that's 46. I can also find this angle right here. How can I find that? It's lying on this line. So I know to find that inner corner there, and we'll call it S, right? To find S, I know that I'm going to take 180 and I'm going to minus the complementary triangle over there, or the supplementary triangle. So I have 180 minus 118, right? Which is going to say S is equal to 62. So that's equal to 62 degrees. So now if I know that's equal to 62 and I know the top one's equal to 46, I can now find what this corner over here is equal to, this one right here, right? That's just the inner triangles. So I'm going to call that T is equal to 180 minus S minus Z is equal to T, right? So 180, S is going to be 62 minus 46 is equal to T, right? Because I know everything adds up to 180, so we're just going to subtract the inner triangles. So that's 72, 72 equals T. And now if I know T is 72, I can easily find X. So a lot of this is problem solving, right? So that's something that you need to keep in mind when you're doing these questions, is like it's a lot of thinking. So if I know that's 72 and I want X, I know that X plus T is going to give me 180 because it's a straight line, right? So 180. So I'm going to do, all right, I know what T is. I just need to find what X is. So X plus 72 is going to give me 180. So X is going to be 180 minus 72. X is equal to 180 minus 72 is going to give me 108. So I know X is 108. All right, we've solved that top triangle. We figured out all of that stuff. Let's go back to our big triangle here, right? Now, if I look here at the bottom, right, over here, I'm going to make it in my space line. I know that this is 62. I can easily find W. Because it's a straight line, I know that 180 is going to equal 62 plus W. So if I want to find W, I can do 180 minus 62 is going to equal W. Right, so 180 minus 62 is going to equal 118. So I know this is also 118 degrees. Right, you can also look at this as, it's okay, it's just too confusing if you use it. There's also a Z pattern here, but I won't teach that to you right now. Okay, then we have Y, which is right here. And if you look at it the same way as we looked at that space pattern over there, and I'm going to do it in gray. Right, so we have this, right? It's also 180. So we have 180 equals 72 plus Y because it's going to make up that straight line. So I'm just going to bring the 72 over here, equals Y. So just to find it, 180 minus 72 is equal to 108 equals Y. Okay. And that is that. Alrighty. So we're going to move over to this one over here. Same concept. We're just going to start filling stuff in. As I move on, I stop putting in as much as my work, and that's probably because I've been doing this for a while. If you still need to go through it and use different colored pens and all of that, that's completely okay. I actually encourage it, but I'm just showing you. So here, because this is a square like this, we know this is a 90-degree angle. Right? Off the bat, we know that. We know this is 41 here, and if we want to find C, it's really easy for us. We know that all of the interior angles of a triangle are going to equal 180, right? So I'm going to do 180 is going to equal 90 plus 41 plus C. We don't know what C is. So 180 minus 90 minus 41 is going to give us C. And if we do all of that math, 180 minus 90 is equal to 90 minus 41 is equal to 49 is going to equal C. So my angle over here is going to be 49 degrees. And I'm going to just go in and put my 49 degrees there too. Now, I'm done that angle. I don't need to go back at that triangle, and I don't need to go back to look at it. Now, if I want to find this angle A, first I need to find this angle over here. Using my opposite theorems pattern, I can say, all right, this angle is equal to 41 because look, we made a little cross there, right? And they're opposite angles to each other, so it's 41 degrees. We have that at 41 degrees. Now, if I have that at 41 degrees, I know that this is a straight line here as well, that these two angles are lying on. So I know I can do 180 equals A plus 41. If I want to get A by itself, I'm just going to do 180 minus 41 equals A. So let's do that. 180 minus 41 is going to give me 139. That means 139 degrees is equal to angle A. Cool? Now, I'm done angle A. I just need to find angle B now. I know that this is 41 degrees over here, this green angle. I know this is 90 degrees because it's a box, right? And I just want to find angle B now. If I want to find angle B, I'm just going to use my interior angles theorem, right? Which means that all the inside angles of a triangle are equal to 180. So 90 plus 41 plus B is going to give me 180. So I can just do 180 minus 91 minus 90 minus 41, right, equals B. You could add them on one side. Doesn't matter how you want to do that. You probably should, but equals B. So I know that this is 49 as well. Okay. And now I've solved all my angles there. Alrighty, moving on. This is where things start to get a little bit more complicated, because now what we're trying to do is we're trying to do algebra and geometry at the same time. But you're still using the same theorems. Now instead of a 3, you have 3x, right? But don't fret, it's the same thing. So we know that all of these, when you add them together, are going to give us 180. So let's just put that in an equation. Sorry. All right. I don't know what happened. So we're just going to take this. We're going to say, okay, 3x plus, and I'm going to put them in brackets, plus x plus 20 plus x plus 40. And I'm putting them in brackets because that's just good form. They're all going to add up to equal 180. We're treating them like they're numbers. They're just now polynomials. They're all going to add up to give me that. So let's just expand these. I'm going to leave 3x plus x plus 20, right? Because there's only a positive 1 that you need to multiply in. Plus x plus 40, right, is equal to 180. Now we're just going to go in and collect our like terms. So I have this 3x plus x plus x. So 3 plus 1 because there's an invisible 1 in front of both of these x's. So 3 plus 1 is going to give me 5. So I have 5x, right? Then I'm going to go in, I'm going to collect my 20 and my 40. 20 plus 40 is going to give me plus 60 equals 180. So let's just solve for x. So we're going to move the 60 to the other side. So plus 60 minus 60 is going to give me 0. And then 180 minus 60 equals 120. Divide both sides by 5 to get that x by itself. So x is going to give me 120 divided by 5 is 24. So x is 24. I can't just go in and plug 24 into these. I just got to solve them now. So this side is going to be x plus 20. So 24 plus 20. And that's going to give me 24 plus 20 is 44 degrees. So this angle is going to be 44 degrees. Same thing here. We're going to do 3x, which is just 3 times 24. 3 times 24 is going to give me 72. So this angle here is 72 degrees. This angle here is just going to be x plus 40, which is the same thing as saying 24 plus 40, which is going to be 64. So this angle over here is 64 degrees. So you got all your angles in here. So it's the same concept, just, takes a little bit more because you have to go through all of that process. Okay? So moving on, we're going to do 2 more questions. Try doing this one by yourself using this rule. Right? So I want you to try doing that one by yourself using that rule. So pause this video, see if you can try it by yourself. You should be doing that for all of them right now, but try it by yourself and then we'll take it up together. All right, so welcome back. We're just going to go over the next couple ones. So here we have something that is a polynomial, and this is a polynomial that has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So we actually have two theorems for this. I'm going to use the n minus 2 times 180 because I personally like that one and it's not more for me to memorize. But you could also use a quadrilateral. Because this is 4 sides, it is a quadrilateral. Okay, and they don't have to be equal sides. They just are 4 sides. Alrighty. So I'm going to use this rule that says n minus 2 times 180 degrees is going to be the sum of all angles in a polynomial. So I'm going to say n, there's 4 sides here, minus 2 times 180 is going to equal 85 plus 100 plus a plus b. Right? So I'm going to do that. So 4 minus 2 times 180 is going to give me 360. Is going to equal 85 plus 100, which is 185, plus a plus b. And before we even move on, a and b are actually different from each other. So if you look here, a and b are not the same. So we need to find out what b is, which we can do. Because this is a straight line, we can just go in and find b. So 180 equals a plus 127. That's, so if I want to get 127 on the other side, I'm just going to do 180 minus 127 is going to equal a. So let's just find that 80 minus 127. So this is 53, right? And we're just going to go plug that in for b here. So it's actually 53, right? So let's collect our like terms again. 185 plus 53. So 360 is equal to 238 plus a. And I want to get a by itself, so I'm going to move the 238 to the other side. So I'm going to do 360 minus 238 is equal to a. So I have 122 equals a. And now I found all the angles. So a is equal to 122. Okay, so even though it looked a little bit more complicated, we just needed to do a little bit of thinking and then we got what we needed to do. All right. This one is actually confusing. Confusing if you don't know this specific theorem. So the theorem that I'm talking about is all the exterior angles, all of these, are going to add up to 360, right? So if we took all of those exterior angles, and when we do lesson 3 tomorrow and lesson 4 tomorrow, I'll actually show you why that is. There's a really good animation that shows this, but we know that all of those angles add up to 360. Okay? Because if you were to close this polynomial, it's going to be 360. The way that I actually saw this was a little bit different. So let's solve this using the polynomials, or the way that we know. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in here and I'm going to say, all right, this is a straight line, right? Which means that this angle and this angle are supplementary to each other. So if this angle is x minus 5, I know that this angle inside is going to be 180 minus x minus 5. Okay? And I'm just going to go in and actually simplify that. So 180 minus x, and then minus x, and then a minus 1 times a negative 5 is going to be a positive 5. Right, let's collect these like terms, and I'm left with 185 minus x. Okay, that's going to be my red side. My green side is, I know that there's this same idea. I'm going to do 180 minus x plus 7, right? 180 minus x minus 7. I'm going to just collect my like terms here. So I'm going to have 173 minus x. Right? Let's do gray over here. So I have 180 minus x plus 4, because again, this is a straight line, right? Oops, sorry, not that way. This way is a straight line, right? So 180 minus x minus 4. Collect my like terms, and I'm left with 174 minus x, right? And then this last but not least, I'm going to put this triangle in orange, or this angle in orange, and this is again a straight line. So I'm left with 180 minus x minus 10, 180 minus x plus 10, because we have a negative and a negative, plus 10, so 190 minus x, right? And I know that this is a quadrilateral because there's 4 sides, and from what I remember, if I have 4 sides, this is going to be all equal to 360. So let's just do that. So 360, right, is equal to, let's just start adding these things together. So I know that my inside is going to be 185 minus x plus the gray one is going to be 174 minus x. The orange one is going to be plus 190 minus x. And then the green one is going to be plus 173 minus x. Right? Let's just go in, collect these like terms. So I have 360 equals 185. I'm just going to drop the brackets. Because they're all positives, I can do that. Right? I don't have to distribute any negative number in. Plus 174 minus x plus 190 minus x plus 173 minus x, right? Let's just go collect our like terms. Let's collect all of our x's first. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do negative 1 plus, plus negative 1 plus negative 1 plus negative 1. And if I do that, I'm going to get negative 4x. And I'm going to do this in purple because I'm just collecting them. So 360 is equal to negative 4x. And then I'm just going to go and collect my, this one, 185. So 185 plus 174 plus 190 plus 173 is going to give me, is going to give me plus 722, right? Now I want to get that 4x by itself, so I'm going to move the 172 onto the other side by subtracting it from both sides. So 172 minus, 722 minus 722 is just going to be 0, so I'm going to leave that. Right? So let's just do that. 360 minus 722 is going to give me negative 362 equals negative 4x. Divide both sides by negative 4 to get x by itself. It's going to give me 90.5. It's going to give me x. Right? So now that I have 90.5 is equal to x, it is really easy for me to go and solve these. I'm just going to go in here. 185 minus 90.5, because I know what x is. So this is 94.5. I'm going to do 173 minus 90.5, and that's going to give me, I want to find out what this outside angle is right here. This one out here. So I'm going to do 90. Sorry, I'm looking for the outside angle, so I don't even know why. I don't need to go inside and solve the inside angles. That's a waste of my time. So let's find this one. So I'm going to do over here 90.5 minus 5, right? So let's just do that. 90.5 minus 5 is going to give me 85.5, right? Same thing over here with the gray. I'm trying to find this angle, right? So I'm going to do 90.5 plus 4, and that's going to give me 94.5. And then I'm going to do x minus 10. So I'm going to do 90.5 minus 10. And then that's going to give me 80.5. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, all right, 90.5 plus 7. And that's going to give me 97.5. Okay, and if that makes sense, because I didn't need to find my interior angles in order to find my exterior angles, because I already like put that into my equation. Okay, and that's my answer. And it adds up to like 359, 358, which is like really close to 360. And that's because we have a lot of error because of like subtracting and adding and rounding. Okay. All right. So if we go here, right, we're going to use this, we're just going to do this last one. And we're going to use a lot of like our theorems here as well. So just to get started, let's see what we know. We know this is 52, right? I have my opposite angles theorem, which is going to tell me what this is. Because these are two crossing lines, I know that the opposite one is going to be 52, right? I also know that this line over here is a straight line, right? So I know that if this is a straight line and this is 52, I can figure out what y is. Y is just going to be 180. I'm just going to put that in. Y is equal to 180 minus 52. So I'm going to say 180 minus 52. This is going to give me 128. Right? Now, if I have this 52 here, I can find the x really easily because I know the inside of this triangle, here, and always look at this as a composite shape. Right? I'm just going to change this so that it looks a little bit better. The inside of this triangle is going to equal 180, all the angles. So 180 is going to equal 42 plus x plus 52, which we just found, right? So if I want, I can just do 180 minus 42 minus 52 is going to give me x. And if I do that, I know that it's going to give me 86 is equal to x. It's going to go in there and fill out my 86 degrees. And I'm sorry that I've been so bad about form, but always make sure you put your degrees in. Right, so I have done this inside triangle. I'm finished with that. Then I'm going to move on and I'm going to say, all right, I have this angle over here, right? I want to find this triangle, and we're going to name this triangle green triangle. I know it's an isosceles triangle, right? I'm just going to leave it. I know it's an isosceles triangle. So I know that this and this are going to equal to each other. So this is also z. So I know that the inside of this triangle is going to be 180 plus 128 degrees plus z plus z. So I have 180 is equal to 128 degrees plus 2z, or 2z. 180 minus 128 is equal to 2z, right? So 180 minus 128 is going to give me 52 equals 2z divided by 2 divided by 2. And I know that z is going to be equal to 26. Right? So this is equal to 26 degrees. This one's also equal to 26 degrees. Okay? And then I know from something we call the z-theorem, which you might not have learned yet, and this is something that you actually might have learned last year. So I'm going to change this to like this nice light blue. The z-theorem is basically when you go across and you look at a z like this, the two corners over here are equal to each other. So this is also 42 degrees. Okay, those two inner corners are equal to each other. So if we know that's 42 degrees, I can find out what W is now by doing, so I'm going to go find the purple triangle here, right? By doing 180 is equal to 52 plus 42 plus W, which is equal to 52 plus 42 minus 180, 180 minus 52 minus 42 is equal to W, right? And if I do that math, I'm going to get 86 is equal to W. And this actually works the other way. So remember I was talking about that z theorem? So if we did the z going this way, like this was our z, and these two lines have to be parallel to each other in order for the z theorem to work, right? This w would equal this x over here. And that's just another theorem that works. So, but in order for that to happen, these two lines that I'm talking about need to be parallel to each other. So we only know we can do that because we have two parallel lines. Okay, and that's all of the points in there. So we figured all them out. Alrighty, so that's the end of this lesson. Try doing the homework for this lesson. It is a little bit more tricky, but it's a good way to make sure that you understand how to use the theorems and the properties. All right,